Good evening, everybody. Sorry for being a few minutes late. How are y'all? Hope everybody's fine. So today is our 12th CME, and we finished 2.5 months per, and we have done quite a lot of work. We have started with Rosidea 5th subclass, Roseanne's 15 remedies, Maytail's 12, and we have started Sadales. We finished 2 + 5 remedies, that's 7. So 3 more we'll try and do today. So actually, if you remember that we said this is a very, very big subclass, and we have to do lots of remedies. So you can see here we've already done 35 remedies in so much time, which means we are keeping good time. So yeah, let us there's quite a lot of remedies to do in this short time. We've done here we have done here Mary Lotus, we have done 2 remedies, Balsama Peru, we've done. Yeah, but we have so many remedies left. We'll have to do test. We did soya, we did tamarind. Do we remember much of it? I just thought, today we have Dr. Rushali going to share something with us. So, yeah, let's just for her sake and somebody new, let's just do a 3-4 few minutes revision and see if we can think of what we are doing, how it's helping us, and so on. So what is the main theme? The main theme is about split, no? All of us know that masculine, feminine. We've come to the end of feminine, the 4th subclass, and now we are going to the 5th subclass, which is more masculine, but the feminine has to still be there, then be suppressed, be thrown out, and you come to masculine. So here there's a lot of conflict, and that's why I said it is today's age, and that's why we've chosen subclass 5. Yeah. So as the feminine goes away, the emotion, the intuition all goes away, and the mind emerges, the masculine emerges, the mind and the reasoning. So the whole thing is about gaining self-awareness. Possibility now is recognizing the other. Till now it was only me, and my mother and nobody else. Now others, so maybe father, son, other relationship, other partner, so on. But now it doesn't have that intuitive guidance of the heart. So now what is it replaced with? It's replaced with rules, clinging to rules, and so yeah, it's all to the father. So the masculine principle, it creates separation, get a boundary, hierarchy, who's bigger, who's not. And so all this modern life, what we have today, rationality, rules, large institutions, rigidity. And as I explained even earlier, that when you have too much rigidity and rules, then you go into religion and superstition. So now in this whole subclass, the focus is on common goals, building resources, the work, protection of self and others, organization. And then problems also arise because if you have a strict father, more. A lot of our cases we've seen has a strict father. So because of that suppression of emotions, even the sexual energy is suppressed. And so whenever sexual energy suppressed and it raises its head, there are lots of religiousness adds to that sexual guilt. You have religious fanatism, so obsessions, fixations, ritualism, and then you have OCD, and whenever you have too much rigidity, you have joints. So here we have seen how we develop. Now, me, and my ego. I want to learn more. So desire to learn, ego, but the mind is not yet ready. So you have lots of problems here with concentration, with LD. And when there is no control over emotions, though you want to control, you're not yet ready for a mature relationship. The first two stage row that we have done, baby stages. So there's a lot of disappointment because contact with others, as all of us know, is never easy. So there's a lot of thorns. When you talk about thorns, you come to rose. And rose always, to all of us, it means love, to seek the soulmate. But there's also confusion. You confuse the love, whether it's love or whether it's sex, and then the guilt comes. So this was our general thing about congestion. The whole thing is about congestion, about separation, about getting away from the feminine, getting into the male and all that. And so let's just do, so we spent 3-4 minutes on this. So let's do just few remedies, not all of them, but a few which, are interesting to us. Craticus, which was heart, it came into the first family we did Rosale. Heart and syphilitic miasm. So we know a lot about heart. Then amygdala was the typhoid miasm. The typhoid always means very critical. The situation is very critical. Maybe high fever, it may be just about some death about going to happen either to you or to the family. And then you come out of it. That will be the typhoid. Then you have hydrocyanic acid, which is the acute miasm. But you're panicked, you're even suicidal. And how can you, even if you stop eating, you can commit suicide, that kind of a thing. Then you have prunus C. And that is a lot to do with OCD, temper tantrums, schizophrenia, that God is controlling me. And then I look at things. We had done a case about a girl looking even at her father and brothers as if they're looking at her in a bad light. So guilt. Then Pyrus American is all about drama and romance, as if I'm living in a movie where I dream my old beloved also still loves me, So on. Rosa bracata, we had said, is about sexual abuse. Again, it is acute miasm. Rosa californica, it's like carcinosin. So it wants love and it gives a lot, but it wants to control, but is controlled. And it's the case we had done, says I want to get into good relationship, but I'm always with hoodlums. So then from cheerful, they become prickly, and loving, they become prickly. Rosa canina is another good remedy. It's got a lot of hidden anger. Again, cancer miasm, but hidden anger. It says, the mother said, now a daughter comes to see me, as if a rock is on me. I don't want to see anybody. So much hidden anger. I want nobody. And otherwise, this remedy helps, in getting over this, and also very importantly helps you to face death, maybe of yourself or your family. So in Bach flower, the Rosa canina comes in apathy, emotional monotony, and withdrawal of release. How to gracefully live. Rosa D was really interesting. We had the drawing she had made, Fatima, Doctor of Heart, and the ear inside it. So it affects the ear a lot. So what we have to remember are these few things, and then we can learn to prescribe, because the generals will still remain about congestion, about disappointment, about not being able to get into a relationship, and so on. So Rosa D, you remember, lot of ego. I'm very special. All those cases, you remember, even my own case, very distinctive. I want to be the tall. I want to be the best. So walks on tiptoes. Very charming, but contemptuous. So you had Dr. Rama come in and give you a wonderful case also. Rosa G, Gallica. What they think of her, that is most important. To get good impression, you talk a lot. So there are a lot of mouth issues, herpes, and so on, gingivitis, which come up here. And then the relationship doesn't work out, so tears, anger, guilt. So a lot of the adolescent phase with anger, and if they're not respected. It wants to do a lot, like maybe another Florence Nightingale. And we have just given it to a patient who we have to still wait for the results, so we can't tell you. Lot of craving for chocolate. Said, I know it's wrong, but I can't help it. Chocolate, chocolate, chocolate. Money and gambling. That was a specific question we asked. We didn't know anything about it. And he said, if I had not gambled so much in my earlier days, I may have built another house. So, Tunas spinosa, you remember, she came, Dr. Rainey, and gave you a case. They ripen slowly because they have the stone cells. And they're in a big hurry. They fall often in love, or they are hurt a lot. And so from cheerful, they get sad or even. Then we come to the next family, the Maytails, where there it was all about communication in Rosidea, and now it is about how to express and be understood. So here we saw that congestion, we saw Ma Kali, remember? A lot of black, a lot of pessimism, but it is beginning to open to the other. So we did 2 remedies there. That's fame, which we saw fear, that girl who wanted to promote it as, got a job as a teacher in a very good school, but was really scared. Fear the new job. How will I look to the others? How will I express? And the clinching was dreams of cats. And we got it in the repertoire. Miserium, we saw another case by Dr. Rama, unprepared. And where, because of your other people holding sway over you, your will is suppressed, confidence is low, and you are torn. There's conflict between loyalty, father, mother fighting whom to, or 2 women. We saw in that case where there was an older man, he was torn between 2 women and they got important, and the remedy gave him back his potency. His wife was a girlfriend of 62, was very happy. So because of all this, Dal can sit for hours, and a lot of money issues, skin issues, slightest touch. And there was another case where there was guilt when he couldn't save his grandson. You remember, he sold his house, everything, and he couldn't even save his grandson. So yeah. So now we came to the current, the fabulous. This is the row 2. So what I want, I get. It's willing, but they don't know how. They still don't know how, because they are still in the womb and just after the womb stage. So screams and speaks to get what you want. So we saw a case of Mary Lotus, scattered, no home, no food. You remember Under Sea, that girl came from World War II, and the home even in UK was taken. So very deep, deep, deep anger. She even wanted in her restaurant, wanted to kill the guest with a hatchet. Then you had Mimisa Puda, which you got a case also. Touch Me Not. Mother-in-law closes up. Rainy had come and given a case. Then we did in this next lecture few remedies. We spend a lot of time on alpha because we can easily use it, and it will help so much. It's helping so much. Quality, the feminine quality, exhausted. For post childbirth, also exhaustion. They don't know whether they want the baby, they don't want the baby. And lot of fatigue and depression. Milk may also be poor, which can be helped. So baby blues. So the tonic, it increases the thirst and the appetite. And there was only craving for sweets, right? Next remedy, small remedies. It's again the Leguminaceae or the Fabulous family, and menopause time. Yeah, soya, actual soya. Balsama Peru, bronchitis, cough and heavy, thick, purulent sputum, cracked nipples and chapped skin. Robina, we did sensation of legume, but a malaria miasm, means they'll be constantly persecuted. Never know. The typhoid miasm was, they'll be hopeful. It's a hopeless. Tamarind we did, drying off, and it's short distance runner, compared it to Briania, which is a long distance runner. Drying off so you can have rectum and fissures and so on. Yeah. So now we just did revise because Vishali has come, and whether, she's familiar with all these fields. So for her, a few things, and we are bang on time. We want to share a case with Dr. Vishali. She's from the NJH team. Preeti, will you share her, please? I'm going to stop sharing.
Yes, she can share.
So, yeah. So Rama is, sorry, Rushali, you're on your way somewhere all warm and huddled up, and still she came. So, yeah.
So
did you enjoy this little thing I put together just for you? Because you've not been here. She's one of our dynamic members, very good in talking. Today she's really cold. I can see her look so different. I almost didn't recognize her. Yes?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Yeah,
you
can you
like
hear
to
me
share your
properly, ma'am?
case, Vishali?
Yeah, ma'am, have you received my case? Is it
Yes,
with
I
you
received.
in
You
the
want me
PPT?
to show it?
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am, please. Yeah, so good afternoon, everyone. It's a great honor to share my case with ma'am's presentation. You know, uh, I must say that whatever I have learned, the way sharing comes, it comes only after I started attending Vishpala ma'am CME. So these Thursdays, I think somewhere in 2013, I started attending CME, and in 2014, I started sharing in the CME itself. That was my first. Though even now today I'm a learner. Still, that was the first time I felt as if I have learned something. So thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for all the opportunities and today as well. Yeah. So, ma'am, can you share the screen? I can't see the.
You can't. I share. I gave it to you. Okay, sorry. I
No,
thought.
no. You share it because the PPT is there with you.
Yeah.
So this was a case of a 24-year-old man. He had actually come to me in 2014 with simple complaint of urticaria. So when he came to me, it was very easy for me, simple case. I had I had defined the case in a regular manner. That time I was not very well versed with sensation method or anything. I had simply given, ma'am, this is not the first. Uh, if you can just go back a little.
I'm trying to.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the first page. Yes, yes. So, he had urticaria right from the age of 6 years. Every single day he used to get urticaria. There used to be acidity and constipation as a child, and he had taken treatment from many, many, many doctors. And interestingly, he had taken treatment from many very good homeopaths as well. So when he came to me, it was quite daunting to me because if all the homeopaths couldn't do, what will I do? But I still defined his case, and at that point, I think I had given him something like natrum muriaticum, which was a very common remedy to give because he had some comparison with his elder brother, and there was not much conflict which I had found. Ma'am, if you can go to the next one. So he the next slide, ma'am. Yeah, so he became all right in 2014 and he went away. After 2 years, he again came back to me where his urticaria had started after him having protein X. So I had given him Artica urine to take just in case he has any aggravation, and which he had already taken, and that was not giving him any relief. So this time the urticaria was very, very strong and it was like full blood all over his body and mostly the covered area. So far it was not coming on his face and exposed area. That he was having too much of rashes and too much of anxiety about the rashes. He had so much of itching that he just wanted to sit under water and the itching was uncontrollable. The moment he starts scratching it, he would start having the blebs. Ma'am, next one. Yeah. So with urticaria, the peculiar thing which I was feeling was he used to feel weakness in the body. He says body weak hota hai. So and again he was very scared that what if in the office the urticaria comes and what if the office people looks at him. So he used to know when the urticaria is coming. So his body used to start feeling heated up, and he would feel weakness. And with that, his restlessness would increase. Ma'am, the next one. Yeah. So the rest with restlessness, he said something very very peculiar that I don't know. I feel like the skin is swelling, the body is getting weakness, and I can't think anything. And mind totally scattered. I can't focus on anything. So I had just simply noted down this word that mind totally scatters. It was something very new to me. I couldn't understand what he's coming to. So then I further allowed him to speak. So he said, I have told you everything in short. Now what new I'm going to say. If I'm doing something, I start to think when I will go home, because I don't want my office people to see this, and I don't want anyone seeing it. So he had that intense desire to hide his illness. Now, in my mind, I was thinking, what is so bad about him having this urticaria? It's such a simple thing. Why should he hide? But he had that intense desire that nobody should see this. Ma'am, the next one. Ma'am, can you change the slide? Yeah. So yeah. So he felt that people will um, think that this is ugly or something. They will think that I have some major illness. So I'm very embarrassed about the illness. So these are small, small things which are peculiar about him, which I have started noting down. Okay, so when he has this urticaria, he feels extremely irritated and he's snapping at people loudly. And he says that this is impacting my daily routine, my work. So he's an IT person, and his major work is sitting at the desk and doing things, not interacting too much with people. But whenever he would have this, even if a small interruption, he would not be able to concentrate on anything. Then his mood is affected, and if he reaches office and then at that time, typically it is not there, but it comes towards the evening time. And once the itching starts, because his mind is scattered, he might commit some errors, so which he doesn't want to do. So then, what he does is he quickly finds a way to leave office and come home. And as soon as he reaches home, the moment he undresses, his itching increases. So routinely he feels bad. I had asked him, how does he feel about having this illness? So he said, I feel very, very bad. And most of the days of my life are going just like that. So I don't know what good is happening with me. I don't like it. And there is a lot of sadness, but my mind, I feel time is lost. I'm not giving my focus on anything. I'm working very hard. My most of the time goes in office. I'm working 7 days a week. Actually, confidence level has increased. So before, when he had come for treatment, that time also his confidence level was very, very low. He would not speak with anybody. But after the treatment, his confidence level had increased, but it is not reached up to the level. So then I asked him, uh, if you say scattered, what exactly comes to your mind? So he says, bikhar jana, like everything is different. You are thinking something else and doing something else. So then I asked him, if there is a kid, 3 to 4 year old, how would you explain scattered to him? So he says, kid is playing with his toys. It's all scattered around him. He can't keep it together. He's struggling to keep everything together. He wants to, but fails to keep it together. And whether he wants it to be together or not, or whether he's okay with it to be, scattered. That was very interesting for me. And then then I went to search for Articaria psychodynamics. So it came that small hidden fears and mountains out of molehills, so making mountains out of molehill. That was the psychodynamics. Now, when you look at this person's psychodynamics also, it was like his very small thing, small urticaria, but he's making such a big hue and cry about it. While I was talking to him, I was going through the rubrics. So there are so many rubrics. Very interesting out of those was mind delirium urticaria M. So you see how when his urticaria starts to develop, he becomes like kind of buzzer. He doesn't want to do anything. So it's a state of delirium, I consider. And there's only one remedy which it is covering. Another thing is mind loathing eruptions before, because he said, sadness hota hai, I don't know what to do. So that was one single remedy is covered. Now, there are a couple of rubrics which I want to talk about. There are so many, I'll just read all the rubrics. So, mind anticipation ailments from mind anxiety, flushes of heat with anxiety when time is set, business ailments from aggravation, concentration difficult, studying, reading while, confusion of mind, then delirium I've already spoken. And another thing was delusion, imagination, sheep, black sheep, she is the. That was a very beautiful thing, because as I had told you previously when I had defined the case, that time it was only about his brother who was exceptionally well, and naturally good things came to him. And this guy was younger, parents have not compared, he also said that. But he always felt that there's something lacking about him. So that time I could not stumble upon this rubric. This time I saw that, and it was perfectly fitting that he just felt like a black sheep in the whole flock. So only two remedies are there. Then, yeah, mistakes making, writing in letters. So he said, whenever urticaria comes, I start making silly errors. So mistakes making, writing in letters. So that I could apply to his work. So he's actually not writing letters, but this way also you can use the rubric. Yeah. So we can see the repertory chart now, and all the symptoms are covered by single remedy, Copaiba. Yeah. And the single remedy rubric, which I was telling you guys, that is also covered by Copaiba only. Then I searched something further. So if we can go to the next one, ma'am. Yeah. So I had put this in reference work, scattered in the same remedy as itching, in the same remedy as eruption, in the same remedy as irritability, within the three words of urticaria. And there are only three remedies which could cover this whole, because this was kind of a gist of the case for me: argentum nitricum, bovista, and copaiba. Now my repertory sheet was giving me all the rubrics which are covered by Copaiba. So then I went ahead and started studying from Shankaran sir's plant sensation. So firstly, that time 2016, I did not know the remedy Copaiba. So I firstly searched which family it belongs to. It belongs to Leguminosa, whose primary sensation is scattered. Leguminosa is, by now, I'm sure the group knows what remedy, what family it is. It is the pea family remedy. So pea is, it comes in a pod, and unless and until the pod opens and the seeds are scattered, the plants are not going to continue with their evolution and development. So it's a mandatory thing for them to scatter. But the dilemma is, the moment they scattered and the peas fall out, it does not remain pea anymore. So you see how beautifully the dilemma of the plant sensation was there in this patient. Where it feels like scattered, but is this really how I want it to be? Whether I want to keep it together, I want to scatter it. There's a confusion about it. So uh, yeah, I'm not able to read those. It's too small actually, like Vineza. But the pictorial presentation then confirmed for me that it has to scatter, and scatter is the primary sensation of this remedy. Yeah. So there were so many rubrics with there were so many symptoms from leguminosa which were matching exactly with the remedy, with the case. Yeah. So the next one, yeah. So I thought this is a new discovery. Let me go to the old literature on that. So I went to Allen's Encyclopedia, and in that the first thing which comes to my notice was emotional unconquerable dislike for his usual employment, disgust with life, and at the same time, fear of death. So, this patient was talking about his everyday routine work, which he has chosen. Now he has dislike for it. So, everyday thing. So, then this was also so confirmatory for my prescription. So, next one. Yeah, I went to Boric, and in Boric also hives with fever and constipation. So this patient had constipation right from his childhood, and whenever he would get hives, he would feel heated. So that was also matching. Then the next one, um, yeah. So that day I gave him Copaiva, and because the symptom similarity was so much, I wanted to give him 1 m directly. But then, even when he had come to me, the hives were all over his body, so I didn't want him to land into aggravation. So I'd given first day 30, second day 200, and then the third day 1 m. And yeah, so just within a week, there was 90% resolution of the itching, no blood, and in his mind, he felt energetic. Despair had reduced. He felt fresh, and motions had become better. He said, I have never gone to motion every single day, and last 7 days I've been passing motion. So that was a very beautiful recovery. More so, like after 6 months of treatment, I had repeated Copaiva a couple of times in those 6 months. He could collect so much courage that he proposed to one of his uh, office colleagues, and they got married after 8 9 months. So he said, so much of confidence I would have never got had it not been for this treatment. His urticaria so went away, but professionally also he started improving. He started giving presentations, and he was doing much, much better eventually. So another thing I would just mention that after 1.5 year or yeah, I think 2 years after his case, he came with his daughter, who was 2 months old, and she started developing urticaria. Helped her.
So what did you give the
And
daughter?
that's
You gave the daughter the same remedy, Vishali?
yes, ma'am. Same remedy helped her. Copaiva. So
Amazing.
that was a very, very beautiful case, and I really enjoyed sharing it with you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. We really enjoyed this because, cases make everything come alive. You sometimes think that I'll never get a case like this. I mean, so many things that we do here. Why making it a point every time to bring a live case is that something somebody else has done. How will I ever get it? Oh, these foreigners get all these kind of cases. We don't ever get any such thing. And those are the kind of feeling. And when you can do that, and when you can get it from the repertory, and most importantly, when you can come to a remedy which you have never even heard of, this is what happened to me when I did Mandragora for the first time. I had never even heard of it. And now I prescribe it so often. It is really heartening to be able to see the kind of result. And we know that this is live and it's not untrue and not just telling us, from like a rabbit pulled out of a hat or something. But this is, and here everything really fits in. We've been talking about congestion, and we talked about just in our revision, we said wants to hide and wants anger. And the best was that errors making, he said, while doing my work, when that comes, I can't work. And I make these errors when I go home, it's all just out. So many of the things really fitted so well with what we just discussed in the group, because finally in the group, you have something repeated in many remedies, not in just one remedy, but there'll be something peculiar which will take you to only one remedy. Yes, so we have to see. That's why I do revision a little bit shorter because, so that we can remember these are remedies not heard of also. So how to remember? So it was really wonderful to have such a apt case, which will now already teach us the remedy, well. Okay. So let's go to Copaiva. It is called cop to friends. I cop to friends. Yeah. We had balls to friends. So it is a Jesuit balsam, and it comes from this family we already know, Leguminaceae, and it's the psychotic miasm. Slowly comes and catches you, and you want to hide. So the miasm is also well depicted in this case. So it's a flowering plant, mainly native to Bolivia, Brazil, and Venezuela. But it had been introduced to Cuba, and everywhere, and India and Sri Lanka. So it's a tall tree, and it's one of the few trees of the Fabaceae family. I do not yet know why they called it Fabaceae. Leguminaceae is so much nicer, and we like it because it tells us the peas immediately. I don't know why this name has been changed. Anyways, I always write both the names. So the resin with orange yellow, you've seen it coming very often. So resin is considered antiseptic, anti-inflammatory, used for cuts and wounds, dandruff, eczema, psoriasis, and cough. So resin is used also to fill up those deep periodontal cavities. And it is also a fire-resistant varnish. It's excellent for gonorrhea and psychosis. Psychosis, we know, gonorrhea also belongs to psychosis. Inflammation chronic from gonorrhea, says Vermeulen. There are only 2 remedies. Dysuria after gonorrhea, it's in herring. Urination difficult, gonorrhea after, says May. So the rubrics are admonition, dwells on past disagreeable occurrences. You can dwell on good experiences or bad experiences. They always dwell on past. But we saw in one of the rosas, where she thinks of California, that she thinks of the old love and yet he still loves her. And another very peculiar rubric, this was a man, so we didn't get it, but if a woman, we may have got household duties aversion and very sensitive to reprimand. So actually, the fact that other people will see it, they will say something, they will either reproach or say, criticize, and that is what they are most sensitive. The emotional congestion, all the time, this congestion is a big word which we have learned and all the time. So much sadness, lot of blues in the morning. Actually, one needs to start the day. One doesn't require to be blue and moody and dull. Snoopy says, Snoopy is my biggest favorite cartoon character. I think I'm allergic to the morning. So, I had a dog called Boggle. Beagles are, Snoopy is a beagle, okay? And he used to just sit over there and you won't know what he's going to do next. He's eaten me out of my furniture and everything he could bite into, even metal almost, And once we were just sitting and he came quickly, we had no idea. And he quickly took out my mother-in-law's hair rubber and went away. Left it open air. We had not seen an open air forever. It is so funny, very Snoopy-like. Otherwise, he'll sit over there calmly, never fighting with me, but does what he wants. So, depression with anxious sadness, says Clark. Thoughts are persistent, thoughts passed off, dwells past disagreeable, thinking and dreaming of dead parents, yet afraid of death. So here, in this whole row, we are seeing this row and the earlier row, because they are just there, come from the other world, there is a lot of death issues. Otherwise, all of us see so many patients, they don't all the time talk about death. But for these people, they talk. Numerous secretions of the mucous membrane. We've seen that often some remedy had from lacrimation, some had so much thing or congestion. We had seen the tongue in Kaju, tongue swollen. So from the respiratory tract to the urinary system, lot of secretion. Children who frequently catch colds. Every season change, somebody in the class got it. Somebody sitting far away at the end of the class got a cold, he gets a cold. So profuse secretion with any complaint, even a dry. Masses of mucus. Stools are also covered with mucus. Not so much bloody as burning ones. Chronic and severe urticaria, as we saw in this case of Dr. Vishali's, especially in children. He was an older man, of course. The congestion has a fiery, nervous expression. Even the acne are very disfiguring and the face becomes quite red. So general sense of uneasiness, sensitivity to noise. They don't want people also. Remember, I just told you before, don't want people. No sufficient resilience inside, because they react to everything and they get anger and they have deep anger and they want to be left alone. So they react with anger or weeping, and mood, music, piano, everything affects them. Trembling, anger, and irritation. Anger from contradiction. So contradiction cannot bear at all. Wants it now. He said, I want, so I must get, right? That was the first sentence he said in this. Quarrelsome and vindictive, yet very sensitive. Even the baby is sensitive to reprimand. See, the mother just looking at him angrily and the baby shrieks and cries and shrieks and cries. A strong tendency to self-reproach, even self-loathing, which is very, very typical of the fifth column. Yes, you've seen that. Either he thinks at 1 minute very good and at the second minute thinks very dirty. Clark argues that the remedy is similar to sepia in its derangement of the hormonal system. An interesting statement in the context of this, the mind housekeeping aversion too. Even a lot of people have confirmed this. Langley Lavori has confirmed this. This is a masculine aspect of the column because it's starting to get expression, but not strong enough due to its initial position. It lacks the forcefulness and is deficient in fire, to say I will not do, requires a lot of fire element, okay, which should come from the father. So it can come in a situation, Grand George is another good practitioner. He says in a situation where the father disappeared, so that impact of the father is not there. He starts developing and getting that, but that impact, which even a strict father would give, is, of the fire. So he says, I have an unknown father and a mother who's too familiar. I never knew my father. Reason could be that the mother was abandoned while she was pregnant, or she's a single mother for her own reason. Only the father nurtures in the child the ability to open and relate to others. Mother is all about me and holding and, keeping together and nutrition and feeding. Yes. So the father opens up the world. So because of this confusion, I told you they are conflicted because of either father or mother are fighting and they don't know anything. And so many things that makes their memory go down. You saw even the urticaria made him make mistakes which he never made earlier in the case. So the weakness in the remedy gives out poor memory, aversion. And he said, I don't want to work over there at all. You remember the earlier case we did of two people fighting? That was a very malaria-miasm. The partners would come and fight. And finally he left and then he was happy. So aversion to business, to company, contemptuous to himself and to others, says Ken. That so much is written on this remedy, which is such a rare remedy, is itself very good. The weakness contradicts their will to be active. Yeah, because you can't decide, you can't do, you make mistakes. So the weakness then doesn't allow you to be active. Delusions, imagining taller he is. We saw that in Rosidea also, yeah, because it is the fifth column hierarchical aspect. It is not there, it's not there in every remedy, it is there, but in some it will be more highlighted. And unless we know the highlight, how will we choose the remedy? All the fables are at the stage where they have the will to challenge and have the difficulty to responding with action. So they want to challenge, but they don't have the fire to. So responding, so doing that action is what is lacking. It will come as you go down in the column. So intolerably itching urticaria, large red patches, we saw that in the case, red and swollen hands and face, severe headache with urticaria. Location is forehead, face, eyelids, eyes, dorsum. And in female, you have itching of the vulva and anus with bloody purulent discharge. So there is a lot of excess because it's congestion. So when it comes out also, it is in excess. So lot of either bloody or purulent or just plain there, watery. But strong swelling. So psychotic miasm, menstrual discharge with pain radiating to hip bones and with nausea. So acne is also disfiguring the face. Face is red and flushed. So other cases, we had already a beautiful case from Dr. Vishali. So this is by Peter Tuminello. A woman 40, she was married with one child, came with 30. So we'll remember Copaiva for urticaria. And yeah, maybe we should call our old urticaria patients who didn't improve and see if they are Copaiva. So it appeared after attending a wedding and having alcohol. It now comes once the thing starts. So somebody will say, but I went there to that party, it happened. Now I'm not going there. Why should it happen again? Or somebody will ask, I have been getting wet in the rain for so many years. I'm now 22 years old. Why should now the rain affect me and I'll get urticaria? So it is once it starts, then the body system is such that it keeps on coming. So it now appears regularly, especially after trigger food, like alcohol, especially wine, tomato sauce, chocolate, and some eggs. Large, irregular wells, and it's lumpy, because there is swelling. Na? Don't forget, congestion, too much discharge. Eyes and feet and hands become swollen. So here she is sitting there with a drink, and then she'll complain that, oh, I got this problem. So hot and itchy on legs and arms. She has sea congestion, so it can become too much, swollen. So she has difficulty in swallowing. Irritable and short-tempered with this, and feels anxiety in the stomach. So Kali may come into play, right? She's embarrassed at how it looks. It's affecting her work as she's tired all the time. Because if it is there all the time, she's embarrassed, she's hiding it, she has weakness of memory, she's making mistakes. So overall, the whole thing is slowing down and she becomes tired all the time. So her life story was married, she's married already. In 2000, some years later, both her and her husband's mother both died. So each was caught up in their own grief, wanted the other to grieve, and they didn't do that for the other. So they felt unsupported by the other and very angry and bitter. I mean, you think this is very irrational, okay? But you remember this is the womb and the infancy stage of the fifth subclass when you just want yet. You don't think of the other. So they were separated for 6 months, but later united. They must have understood that was, their thing to support the other also. So after her mother's death, she used antidepressant for 6 weeks, was crying constantly and full of self-loathing. Now mother dies, you don't, but so many things you imagine. I didn't go to my mother. Maybe it didn't help her enough, didn't think about her enough. And you get self-loathing and guilt. She had been often depressed since then, even though she gave up that antidepressant after 6 weeks. But she says, I've been down all my life. Actually, when I think about it, that the world is not a safe place. It's a sad place. So there is constant anger, resentment, and bitterness. Because I make whatever relationships, it doesn't work out. Work I try to do, my memories doesn't go. So I feel very slow, tired, sleepless, and so. So they require a support system. So if you have that around you, or your family, your friend, so strong support system saved her, and she's getting back together. Generally, she's always sad about state of the world. Oh, so what happened? Today's paper said the world is really in a bad place. So yeah, you say, oh God, the world is in a bad place. What can I do to it? Can't do so much. Her mother also died. Brother also had some issues. So, you suddenly feel more and more uncertain. Luckily, her father is very close to her and calls her off. Depression runs in the family. Yes, it goes. It's there and all through your DNA, RNA. When she's sad, she needs to be alone and doesn't want to be patronized. You know what? This is a thing which is very common. We also do it very often. When somebody is low, we say, but why don't you do that? Stop thinking about it and give lot of advice. We just want to be supported. Supported doesn't mean to give advice. The advice always means you're in a higher position. I see I'm doing so much better. Why can't you do better? You're not doing so well. Just support. Yes, it is really sad. Yeah, I understand it. So that is called support, and that is what depressed people need, and not your patronize. She feels guilty about having a son in daycare, and then she fears losing a child to death. So the death issue is a constant thing. They are right on top. They just come from the other world, and death can go back to being dead again. Being alone, public speaking, she gets severe anxiety again in the stomach. Low self-confidence, acne as a teenager, and was very, very depressed. You know how acne, even one acne to a teenager is like the end of the world. So she has red and disfiguring, it is terrible. So she didn't show it outside because she has to hide, right? But she felt she didn't measure. Now she hates herself because she is allowed herself to put on weight. She's nice and friendly to others, but critical of herself. She feels hurried. So a lot of hurry, everything. So falling in love is also hurried. Everything is hurried. Her husband says she's a cold person because she's anybody who's not into themselves and just don't appear warm and giving. Menses was with severe cramping pain, better after childbirth. PMS, lot of depression, constipation, then diarrhea. She craved chocolate as a support food, right? Energy food. She's also aggravated from cream-based food. Again, cream is comfort. Family history was cancer, schizophrenia, drug abuse, and depression. So dreams, her dead mother comes to her and she's so nice and so alive that she feels she's really there. And then when she wakes up, she's very sad. So mother is always the support, your anchor in this world. And when she goes, you're always orphan. Dreams of situation where she feels out of control. So we saw in this group, in this column, that control they want, but they're not ready and they are controlled. So they feel out. So the analysis was the sadness and the blues, staying in the past, all is like sadness. So dreams of the dead relatives, the self-loathing, support system need point to Popeye. So today I think you all are going to go away good with Copaiva. And I want you really to go with Copaiva. And each time if you can go with one remedy very well. Last time, of course, we went away with alpha. But I think the other was small. So you can remember, that and menopause, maybe we can use it for hot flushes. So, yeah. So here, if you can get these come all on the repertory, which is really nice, and you saw how well Vishali's repertory, it shows only Copaiva. And we would have maybe in the earlier days, 10 years ago, said, we don't know this remedy, forget about it. Or you could have said, it's come so much, maybe let's look at it. So, yeah, we look at it and we find it and we can give it and we can say this is a great success and all. But we may not know the whole theory. So I wanted Vishali to come here and listen to the whole theory of the fifth subclass, which, she may not have studied in so much. So chronic urticaria rosy and nodular. Mind is morose, sad, periodical, sadness, horrible things, sad stories affect her profoundly, and loathing oneself. So Copaiva had come up. I've not done the working for you. Copaiva 30 for 3 days. Repeated as needed for urticaria. Slowly the urticaria disappeared. She noticed even that she's not so irritable or embarrassed. Urticaria is nothing great. Why should he? It's not like vitiligo or leprosy or something like that. Oh, urticaria is a rash, allergic rash. It comes and goes. And she now no longer so embarrassed. PMS, all symptoms have gone. Self-confidence is better. And she's even more physically affectionate with her husband. So you should get the improvement at all levels. All of us practice, okay? All of us get results. There's nobody in homeopathic world who does not get results. But the quality and the intensity of the results is what we are looking at when we study further and further so much. 1 year later, no urticaria, excellent confidence, self-loathing gone. Okay, so that is a remedy which you are going to be able to remember because you had this wonderful case, and also most important that you have, the rubrics which can support you. You even got it in the reference work. So that's like really, really, really good. Okay, because sometimes you just so difficult. Yesterday we had a new case. Of course, I'm going out of the way because not even relating to the group, but we had a new case and he told us, he's an older man, he's 29 years old. And he's saying, I like to play a lot. I like to do adventure and do new things. And so earlier I had a girlfriend who was also like that and it was really very nice. But when we decided I was going abroad, then we thought that long-term relationship don't work. So we kept separate like that. And so no, I like to work, but not in a organized way or that I have to work. I like to do it as play thing, and but of course he was not. No, my hand gestures are a lot, so you may think I'm a plant kingdom like that. But he didn't have many hand gestures, and he talked about all these things and working, but he never said anything about anybody being, about organization. Are you organized? No, not at all. So mineral was living out. No hand gestures, so plant was getting living out. So animal, but he was not talking so much about, some one-upmanship. But then later he said that his current girlfriend, she likes from Brahmin family and they are not. And she is eating, vegetarian only. And he likes his non-veg and his alcohol. But he said, I'm very adjusting. So but I don't know how long I'll be adjusting. Finally, I want to move and I don't know how she feels, how her family feels about non-veg and all, whether this will work out. So we are still talking about it and seeing. So he's adjusting, he's playful. And saying Brahmin means they are different and little up and down was coming. So all of us thought together and we thought it was the play, which is the remedy which loves to play only and little bit of work and mostly play is like
Lac delphinum.
Delphining.
So yesterday we have given the child, the boy Lac Delphin. Actually, he's come to us for, the knee, the
Meniscus.
meniscus tear. And so, yes, so we couldn't just depend on Lac Delphinum, but we don't have much time. He's going away next week back. So we gave Lac Delphinum to begin with over here, and I took the pulse and all that. And we've given him the Ruta 6 and Calcrea for it's a combo we use for these meniscus tear, which helps very well. So we've given that, but since they are in low potency, we feel they won't interfere. And we'll see in a week he'll come again. We'll see how they implement. But I'm just trying to tell you, so sometimes it's not so easy even to do the kingdom and forget all these families and all. But when you know something, it supports you like the repertory, or here in this case of hers, even the reference work supported her. So it is really, really good. So that is one case, one remedy for Paiva, which I don't think all of us will forget. The second remedy is something which we know, but we don't use so often, yes? And that remedy is called Lathyrus sativus. And this is actually a easier remedy to use because it is mainly syphilitic miasm and it is mainly about paralysis and the last stages. So we can use it for many, many paralytic cases. So it will be a good, revision like that. You know the remedy, but it's an important fodder plant. Yeah, it's also called it grows in harsh conditions. So it is called an insurance crop. Means that always grows. So you're dependable. So if you grow it, it will grow, and you will have something to fall back. So it's very important in areas prone to drought and famine, and it is used as an insurance crop because it gives a reliable yield when all other crops fail. But the seeds, you see that even that it contains a neurotoxin. So you can even just by eating it, it's meant for fodder, doesn't affect the animal, but us, yes. So it causes a neurodegenerative disease when the seeds are consumed as a primary protein source for a longer time. It causes basically paralysis of the lower. So neurolathyrism means excessive consumption of it causes of the Lathyrus sativa causes a neurodegenerative disease called neurolathyrism. It's an incurable neurological disorder, clinically manifested by paralysis of the lower limb. So if we can get these cases, even if we see a child, somewhere a beggar doing that, we could ask, whether we can treat. It can happen that we can treat even without too many symptoms. Yeah? It progresses slowly. The spastic paraplegia involving degeneration of the upper part of the spinal cord causes stiffness and paralysis at the muscles of the lower. So maybe there's also another remedy is scissor, which I don't know yet. Anyway, Lathyrus contains variable amounts of a toxin when ingested causes paralysis. So it's a perfect picture of certain spinal affections in Christensen's therapeutics. Lathyrus causes paraplegia, dragging gait, turning in of the toes, stiffness, and semi-flexion of the knee. The clinical record of Lathyrus shows that may provide relief to cases of bedridden paraplegia, and infantile spinal paralysis, certain myelitis. So, sometimes in the neighborhood, I see somebody like that. I even ask, what are you doing for it? No, this lifelong. And then I talk to them, and then later I even suggest, some remedy. And we may get cases like this because parents who have been told that nothing, there's no cure, they don't keep on looking for a cure, right? So how will they come? So in 1877, so I'm keeping on saying these days that 100 years has made no difference to homeopathy, The results are the same, the remedies are the same. Homeopathy is like evergreen. We don't have all the time, this has gone, it has gone, it doesn't work anymore, look for a new antibiotic and so on. So Clark has given 2 cases, one of multiple sclerosis and one of rheumatic paralysis with stiffness. So they affect the anterior and the lateral columns of the cord, causing paralysis of the lower, spastic paralysis. So lateral sclerosis, infantile paralysis, and beribs. Trembling of the hands, worse on attempting to do something. Over there we saw in Copaiba, it is always when you get it, you can't work properly. Here, when they're trying to do work, they're trembling. So there is a lot of hopelessness. So this is syphilitic needs. And continuous hopelessness are important. So delusion of the syphilitic miasm is that they are faced with a situation beyond salvage, leading to complete hopelessness and despair. The syphilitic feeling, therefore, is that the situation is desperately and hopeless and I can't cope. We saw in that earlier case where it is the typhoid miasm. Though it is very critical, but it knows it can come out. Malaria is when it's constantly being hit. So they're constantly thinking of the past. And syphilitic is, I can't do anything about it. Oh, please. The mind and body moves toward destruction, destroyed because of the split. The mother and father and masculine feminine together, there's no split, I would have been much. So delusion are, yeah, body parts are absent, it's gone. The scale is cut off, really. Delusion trapped is fear, fire, things will catch, and panic attacks. Oh, pardon me. Jerry, Tom and Jerry, no problem. You cut my tail ever, I don't panic. So existential insecurity, lack of trust, all the time trying to escape. You feel like as if you're trying to escape the police. Persecute, trapped, going on tiptoe to be tall, like Rosidea. Emotional but suppresses the feeling. Whenever you suppress, we went through it, right? Suppress, then it's all the time suppress inside you, adds a congestion and also makes you feel guilty. Oppressed by its family, dominant partner, we constantly a strict father, but it is often the strict and dominant and abusive partner. And therefore you can't express it, you cannot leave the relationship. We wonder why people are in such an abusive relationship, why they can't leave. Because they are stuck. We'll see in one of these cases. They cannot move backward or forward. They are trapped, suffocated, and cannot get out of the situation. So they're compliant and ill. Being suppressed from outside and no power inside leads to spinal. Vertigo on standing, cramping in the leg when cold, paralysis, difficulty to stand on their own. So paralysis, face feels numb, cobwebs on the face, tongue cobwebs. Emaciation, weakness, paralysis of the lower limbs, even access. So depressed, hypochondriacal, suppressed and trapped. These are the main things. Depressed, I can't do anything, so all the time I'm thinking of myself, I'm trapped. There's no inner strength. The good remedy for people with polio, weakness, deterioration of muscle, nerve due to polio vaccine, or as a preventive for a polio epidemic. Paralysis due to situation of malnutrition, forced labor, like in concentration camp. We, of course, every time we have these cases, I say, but I've never seen a case from World War or Hitler's time or any of this. Contractions or muscle contractions after taking statins. And the muscles are cramped, held, cannot even take out the statins. Muscular dystrophy, Parkinson's syndrome, beriberi or remedies associated with deprivation, oppression, and hopelessness. The cold, damp air, so winter, suddenly, sweating after catching cold, icy feet, strenuous physical activity at night when you become hot and then cold. So those are contributory factors. So the diseases are all like this. See, locomotor ataxia, infantile pain, lumbago, poliomyelitis. So all nerve disorders. So we must think of latents, nausea, vomiting, with paralysis, paraplegia, multiple sclerosis, Parkinson, rheumatism, spinal stenosis, vertigo, urine incontinence. Again, part of very constipation, depression. Depression and impotence can, of course, come with any of these. Some particulars, abdominal colic, and this is another peculiar thing which we have to remember. People prescribe only on this, as if sensation at damp cloth tied around the waist. Lumbago, pain in the back so severe as to prevent movement and cannot bear the slightest touch. because they are so vulnerable. They don't know whether this touch is good or bad. Okay. In our days, we are not taught about good and bad touch, but just any touch was okay. Increased bladder reflexes, frequent urge, cannot hold, must hurry or will void. There and ears ringing. Poliomyelitis is spastic movement, sudden jerky movement. Rheumatic paralysis, excessive rigidity of legs, spastic gait, tremulous tottering gait, knees knock while walking, cannot extend or stretch. After all, they're so stiff, you can't do all kinds of movements with. Cyst bend forward and straightens with difficulty. Again, there is stiffness. Stiffness of ankles and knees. Heels do not touch the ground when walking. So you may walk like that on toes. See, it likes to lie down because it can move side to side, but they cannot lift them. They are blue and swollen if hanging down. Cramps in the legs, worse cold, and their feet are also cold. Legs are cold in the day and hot and burning at night. Better by uncovering. So you'll think of sulfur in the first place, right? It's far from sulfur. So, very emaciated. Look at this child. Think of Mongolia, Africa. Gluteal muscles and muscles of the lower limb are so emaciated. They are just like bones. Very little difference between the baby and the skeleton. Worse cold, damp, touch movement. Now we can remember touch movement, cold, damp because they can't move. Better uncovering as can move the legs. And that gives just that much gives benefit. It even gives you that thing, oh, I can do. So Clark had many cases of spastic paralysis. One case is given here. Mrs. R, 25, had been ill for 5 years with spastic paralysis, constipation. Legs, muscles are hard and unyielding. Violent urging to urinate and involuntary. Heavily drugged. In homeopathy, first gave hypericum, you think nerve, this, that, with some benefit. But when it stopped helping, then Lathyrus 1C and then 30C was given, which helped much. So look around for cases, even if they are not come to us, see if they are poor, whether we can offer help. This is what it can come to my mind. But I can't think of a single case I have. Male. The adductors were in a constant state of irritable contraction. Why she gave a female picture, I don't know. In a male case. Reflexes greatly exaggerated. See, the toes are pointing downward. No pain, spine is normal, general health is normal. So you had only the adductors in constant state of contraction. And she had needed the thighs to cross so she could keep them together. And the reflexes were exact. The only other thing was this girdle-like sensation around the waist as of a damp cloth. So 3 weeks after Lathyrus, there was a reduction in the stiffening. After 1 month, he could raise his limbs and move the toes. After 2 months, he walked out of the hospital. We should all clap for this case. Another case, the baby was brought to the hospital in the arms of the father. Head was thrown back. Legs were hanging loosely. There was no muscle tone. So it turns out he was vaccinated for polio 1 day before. Immediately, a few hours after the vaccine, got fever, became restless, and as if something was bothering him. Gradually stopped crawling. He couldn't crawl. Tried to stand up. He could do that before the vaccination. He could not, as if the leg could not carry him. Before the vaccine, he was completely healthy. So rubrics were extremities, motion, loss of power, dragging, lameness, and lower limbs are difficult to move, paralysis and poliomyelitis. He got Lathyrus due to affiliation to polio. Within a day, the recovery began. I mean, what kind of magic is homeopathy? Whenever I see or read or experience these cases, I feel it's nothing short of magic. And therefore, my husband used to always say, you all only put your own science down, calling it magic. Yeah, but what do you say to a thing which just starts working so fast? And we don't say it, everybody says it. Yeah. But we should stop using it because it takes us into that esoteric realm, and then nobody gives us credence of being scientific. Yeah? Should stop using that. So the fever went away. He started crawling. In 2 days, he was able to stand and get back on his feet. And mood and good cheer returned. He was a happy face. This child wasn't. A baby girl, after getting polio vaccine, went to deep comatose sleep for 2 days without waking. And she woke only after Lazarus was given again. Another case. A woman with paralysis that developed in her lower limbs, accompanied by the pain in her feet. There was also oppression from the spouse. You can see he's shouting all the time. The spouse actually loved her, but he didn't know. Some men just don't know how to be loving. But he was frequently verbally violent, and she experienced that as oppression. With the Lazarus, her paralysis passed. In addition, she started developing interest in other areas. She separated from him and did not feel so suppressed. Nehustan. All these authors are now going to become our friends, right? They've given us so many cases. And this is a current case. Those are some of them, Clark and all, okay, we can say 1900s. But this is a current case by Elbaz. So 50-year-old woman suffering from myasthenia gravis. In the past, she was treated with cortisone to the maximum allowed dose. At this point, she was not willing to undergo chemotherapy because she felt it was worse than the disease. Her current symptoms were weakness of the muscles of the eye, drooping eyelid, double vision, weakness muscles of the throat and therefore cannot swallow, difficult speech, holding her head up, breathing and urinary incontinence. Also, she had vaginal candida, she had hypothyroidism and thyroid. So she had that past history of ITP treated with cortisone, cervical cancer treated with homeopathy, but which came back after a child was born, and that was burnt with laser. Emotionally, I find it difficult to get along in the world. So everyone who can't get along, they want to get along, they've come from the other side, they are in the womb and the infancy stage, and they want to get along, but they can't because people are so different. World is not a safe place. I'm married, but treated with a lot of verbal abuse. We are distanced for a number of years. So we are separate, but live in the same house. Oh, I have somebody I know, they are divorced, I think 20 years. They're all living in the same house, they're not talking to each other. I must go explore that possibility. He said, I do everything. I'd like to live separately, but I'm afraid to live alone. I feel weak, humiliated, failure, as if I'm fat. I've been suffering all my life. But I have to be in control. I want to keep everything I need near me. Why? So that I can access it and also nobody will take it away. You don't know when somebody will take it away. And what I need, I must at least have near. So she stayed in that one room, in her own room, and tried to do it. I also put great importance on what I eat, like grains, vegetables, nuts, and legumes. Yeah, tells us legumes. So I had no idea how to do. I had no idea what to do with this case. So I started work with table of plants. This is Dr. Elbaz talking, not me. The fear of living alone in spite of abuse suggests childishness. That's what she thought. The need to keep everything at hand suggests mistrustful, non-safe worldview, which is the second row. World is not a safe place. The difficulty of being separated together with the need to stay in the family. The oppression and the profound theme of paralysis brought up this idea of leguminaceae family. And that was a few lectures after on the plant table, which he did. And therefore, you got it. Some idea. Somewhere you need to refer or understand or know where to look up. Just out of the blue, you can't think of Lathyrus. So reading through that helped me choose Lathyrus. The symptoms of weakness of eyes, drooping eyelids, double vision, weakness, muscles, throat, difficulty holding the head up. So Lathyrus was given in LM potency and was very good improvement. No weakness of muscles of the eyes, no drooping, vitality and energy normal, no difficulty in swallowing, no weakness of the mouth. And she's currently in a loving connection and is happy. She divorced the husband and could get out of that situation. So, yeah. So this is a current level case. Maybe all of us will now think of one person we can help with this remedy and come back and share, right? Okay. So we are going to do this last remedy of the day today. Acacia sale, it's called Acacia to friend, which seems more difficult than saying acacia. And yeah, so this is the first remedy which is given in this family of Sedil. So it's with A, no? So it's the first. So I thought just that it has a lot of generals and we should do it. So I have done it. But we don't have any cases. So how much we learn offer this remedy, I also don't. So it's a tall desert tree with a yellow-orange trunk. It grows in deserts of Africa, Egypt, Senegal. The tree is an important source of gum arabic, a polysaccharide made from the resin exuded by the tree. It is very nice because all your coffins are made from this acacia wood. The tree has specially tough xylem and was used by the ancient Egyptians for manufacturing coffins. It was also probably used for making the holy ark. You know, na? From Jerusalem, they made the holy ark. Resins were used as an aphrodisiac, means to arouse the sexual desire, for treating diarrhea, inflammation of the eyes, for hemorrhages, bronchitis, and GIT. Incense was used to treat rheumatic pain and very surprisingly to safeguard pregnant women from disease. So that means you're safeguarding, yeah? So the world is not a safe place. So you are safeguarding the women who are much more vulnerable and also the unborn child, yeah? Amazing, no? So it came about, the whole proving has come about in a very funny, nice way. So first, Vega Rosenberg, also we've done some cases from her. So she said that in this botanical garden called In Gadi in Israel, so she said, let's make a trituration from this. So 4-3 triturations were done by Michael Yakir herself, the whole plant kingdom and whom we are following her. She has made it. So that is why I wanted to just bring it to you, though I don't have many cases. So the symptoms allude to row 1, okay? One is stuck between the beginning and the end, okay? So you've come, but you're thinking of death. You're stuck in death issues due to your lack of readiness for life. Yeah? You're not willing to go. So being in between with inability to move to the next stage. It is the first row meeting the rigidity of the fifth. So at this level, there are no symptoms, sensations or thoughts surface. So when you're talking about, the proving also, nothing first came about. Yeah, 4C. So 1C, C1, C2, nothing much. So this was the feeling. The mind is not clear. It is foggy, can't remember names. followed by head getting clearer, thinking becoming clear, like becoming loose. Or tiredness or boredom for 3 hours. It felt as if nothing was happening. And eventually there was a breakthrough, as if I'm just born. Yeah. So in the proving at C1, C2, they got no symptoms. Only near the end of C3 and C4, that is the where they have proved the remedy, stage of tituration, thoughts and sensations came. So death, with that came odor of coffins and nothing. Connected to death, to coffins, to corpse eaten by animals. So, lot of death issues. So Mozart wrote a requiem which was on this subject. So he felt, I don't know, all of us have not heard Mozart. He was a big musician. They were. So thinking about the resurrection, in tarot cards, you have one card which is like you come up from the death. Now Jesus came up from the dead. So resurrection is. So it's all about death and resurrection. Transformation from death to life. Or from falling asleep and waking. So when a person is dying, and one does not know if he's dead or not. So, you don't sometimes have these dreams like that girl had the dream of mother, as if, she's talking to her and she's alive and she felt sad afterwards. So, yeah, so difficult to perceive that a loved one is dead or not. There's so many people who are still talking to the dead people, as if they are still there. Is he really dead or is he resurrected? So when a person himself cannot decide whether to live or not. I don't know, sometimes I feel we interfere with things when we learn some remedy. For example, I have this patient who's 87 years old, and she's the most cheerful person I've seen. Every time she talks to me, she's, doctor, how are you? Then she's, doctor, thank you very much. And she was a teacher long ago. And now her niece, who had looked after her, in fact, she went and lived with that sister and looked after the niece. So after that, all life, the niece only is looking after niece and her children. And she's always so cheerful, and we brought her out of so many things. Once she was admitted 3 years ago. And then every time they said admission, but we said, no, now let's do homeopathy. And though her creatinine is still high and we're working on it, we can manage to control it sometimes to 2 and 3, but now it's 4. But as long as she's okay, we are okay with it. So, and she always is very cheerful. And she, how are you? I'm fine, doctor. I'm much better. Never complains so much. And then she had this BP which is going up and down. So sometime we thought, let us give us Craticus. And we gave her a little mother tincture in between giving her whatever. We're giving her Cupramax for creatinine. So, and that really disturbed her, I think so. So her BP, which was kind of settled with whatever medicines, it went up and down a bit and all. And today she spoke to us, and the person who's always been cheerful, my daughter, the niece told me today, please doctor, talk to her. Because yesterday she cried and cried in front of my children and said, please, I don't want to live anymore. I want to just go. Why don't you poison me? So the niece was telling me, see, in 8-9 years, she's not been leaving the house or going out or anything. And only change which has happened is that time she could walk better, and now she uses the wheelchair often. But she can still go to the bathroom, she can do everything, she can eat, she can, and she has a family to look after her. And the doctors who come support her, you are there, her cardiologist is there, and now we have a GP who comes every week. So, she's in a good place. So why is she talking like this? So yeah, this is a thing which can come to us, right? So I have brought it up because I gave up Craticus and probably disturbed the thing. But just tell me, how will you advise this? Somebody, can you open it, Preeti? Let's have a little discussion on this. Yeah. So I'm stopping share for a minute so I can see you all.
What about Boheravia, diffusa?
No, I'm talking about what will you advise the patient? Forget the medicine.
Okay. Advise the children, you mean?
Yeah, this patient. What will you tell her? She's saying, I'd rather doctor now. What is the point? I'm 87. I can't do anything. I feel I'm wasting. I'm not helping anybody. So
If
tell
that
me,
is-
tell me.
Ma'am, can I give some suggestions?
Yeah.
Okay, firstly, thank you so much. Yesterday we had a talk and today I'm here.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Really enjoying the session.
Yeah. Thank you. Welcome.
Yes, so the case that you just mentioned, number one, she's 87 years old. She's not been out. Few things that we can suggest is maybe, you know, the same routine and everything must have got too much of boredom to her. So change of place, change of slightest environment around you, and change of the talks. That means talking more affirmative sentences around her can bring in a little positivity around her. Like, for example, maybe they can take her out or just below the building for some time, or maybe change the room itself so she might just feel that something new is happening to look forward. Because at that age, when they feel there is nothing remaining in this world, that's when they want to end their life. So try and do things which they can look onto, which they can, you know, they want to try new things. Also, maybe things like music, vibrations around can change. Mantras, you know, a mantra chanting if she likes, or calling any of her old relative or friend. These are few of my suggestions can bring in change too.
Anybody else? Good suggestion, Yatri. Thank you so much. But here we are dealing, also we have to, you know, think what will immediately make her feel better. You know, you're thinking of a person who is there only. And she's been happy all throughout. I'm seeing her for so many years now. Not so many, 3-4 years now. And yeah, she's in the same house and all. So what are the positives? Anybody else, anything else you'll have to say? I thought it was an interesting topic because all of us are facing this. Now we'll face at some point with some patients. So say, please, anybody? Rama?
I would go back to looking at some flower remedies. I'm not
Okay.
sure which ones at the moment, offhand. Something to cheer up the mood. And like Dr. Yatri said, definitely change of the room, more sunshine in the room, more music, more children in the room.
Yeah. So, you know, here this case is, okay. So the whole family is my patient. So this niece and her children have been my patient for the longest time. And the niece is really looking after her. Niece has a lot of financial difficulty. And she as a teacher gets a small pension still. But it still must be difficult. But I've seen them all rallying around this grandmother quite well. So, you know, niece was saying that, look, everything is going well. Nothing is going wrong. In 8-9 years, there's nothing, there's no change that has happened. You're still in the house. You still don't go down, though we say to go down. But you get your two granddaughters to be with you, your niece, her husband, all are nice. You have a caretaker. You have your doctors who are taking care of you. You know, we are trying to bring her creatinine down. Nothing is working actually, but she's still done well. And now she said we even have a new GP who is just set up. So he's willing to come every week and meet her. So she's in a good position. So why should she suddenly cry and talk about dying? You know, here what we must understand is this. One more is that how does the family feel when they're doing a lot? I've never heard the niece saying, you know, again, one hospitalization, how will we manage, or, you know, where will we go for money? They've not been complaining. So they have always been rallying around her. So you are producing, by saying that, producing guilt in that family who's doing so much. Okay, that is one other fact. Plus, the doctors have really all are very helpful. Like whenever she wants to talk to me, she can come to and talk to me. And every week or so, I will follow up with her and talk to her for length. So, and then the medicines are also helping her keep her BP is under control. Now she can walk to the bathroom. In between, she went through a little bit phase like that. So you're talking of two things. One, she's saying, one, the family is feeling very bad that we are doing so much and still she just wants to die. Means we are not doing enough. Immediately produces guilt. Okay, so that is one thing. You have to allay that. The second is not about just giving medicine. So you want to know what I said to her? Yes. So what I told her is that you're fine, that you are not contributing or you're not thinking. But just the fact that you are there is so good for everybody. To have an older person in the house is like we were talking about mothers, when they go, you always often. So have a person, you feel, you are under somebody, under a roof, somebody there over above you. They're all happy. And they all come and meet you. Nobody's grudging. All the doctors are there and looking after you. And your health is also fair enough, not deteriorated so much over the last 8 years. Second, so you're getting we have no troubles with all these things which are happening. A little knee pain we manage, now you're walking to the bathroom. Yes, you have one major problem is the good, nice helper you had has just left. So the new helper not so good, but we are working on it. Now suddenly you're saying my memory is going. I can't remember. Oh, you gave me the same food every day, she said. So, and you want to die. So you think that death is an option now and everybody will be relieved. But it's not like that. They will go away with feeling guilt. And you also, there's no reason for you. And the most important, this I think was the crux, the most important thing is that it is not in our hand. It is not that today I say I'm so useless, I want to die and therefore die. But why are so many useless people just lying in the house like vegetable live? Because there is a time and place written which will go. It is in somebody else's hand when to take you away. When that time comes, you won't will do anything. So the important thing for you is to live happily and cheerfully and do whatever all of you have suggested. Yes, do it. Little more TV, little more music, go and sit in the balcony if you can't go down, play some cards and make a routine in your life so that you don't forget that whether I've had breakfast or not had breakfast. So 9 o'clock breakfast, so it is 9:30, I must have had breakfast. 12:30 is lunch, I must have had lunch. So get little bit order into this is what even the niece suggested to me to tell her. And I said, you can write down at least what vegetables so that you don't feel. Even sometimes I feel, oh, I just had this, but I've not had it for a week. So write that down and basically be happy like you were. Because I use her as an example of how cheerful she is at 87, always telling me, how are you, doctor? Half the patient never ask you how you are. So how are you, doctor? What's happening? And thank you so much for looking after me. Every time, she never forgets. So I say, use as an example. So if now I have to tell people you're depressed, it's not very good for me. So for me also not good. And third, most important point, which I told you, when the time comes, you will go. Till then, you cannot do anything. So, yeah. So everybody was happy. And we
Very nice. Very nice. Very practical. And thank you very much.
So let's go back to this case. But what I also brought it up because practicals have withdrawn. Sometimes we get enthusiastic and give a remedy which may not. And the niece told me, please, doctor, her BP is settled with whatever she's doing. So don't try to take it up and down. Then settling it again, another problem. See, we think of things and how patients think are different sometimes. Let's go back. So, yeah. So
Excuse me. Yes, ma, you were right. And absolutely approach. See, change of position, change of circumstances, change of ambience. It's a part. But what you just told is the underlying things as far as I know. And it is something which is really 100% correct. If you think all round.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Yeah.
Go ahead.
So this is, people who aren't prepared to die will do anything to prevent it or isn't willing to live but is afraid to die. No, we don't want to live. But really, if you say you want to die, they'll say, oh, I'm scared. So it also helps to prepare. We saw Rosa Canina also, right? For helping prepare to accept others' death or their own. The remedy relates to what goes on after death. So this is a little bit of, a lot of Jewish things come up here. It is situated on a Friday evening at the second before the Sabbath enters. Sabbath comes Saturday, Sunday. So before the Sabbath enters, the blessing that distinguishes between the sacred. So Sabbath is sacred and the profane, which is the world. The transition between the end and the beginning. So all kinds of transition states it is important in. When people who are dying and suffering but not prepared to die, like Rosa C, we said, and like arsenic, or connection to the prophet Moses, like he's overlooking the promised land from a distance but unable to enter. You know about promised land is when you die, you go to the much better place, kind of. Slowness of body activity, but also of emotions and mind to such an extent that one can't tell if the person is going to die or not. They're already slow. So you can't make out whether it's more slow and it's almost to death. For instance, when blood vessels are retreating and closing, and the area turns purplish blue, this is the congestive state of the papal veins. So it also resembles ignitia. There are some tears, but slow in coming out. Everything is slow. The baby needs to go through the passage, but the baby does not want to come out, as if he doesn't want to enter the world. Something is odd about this remedy, not from here, not from this place. Where state mother thinks world is not good enough for a baby or clean enough for the baby and doesn't want the baby to come out. But the mother herself does not feel as if she is ready. So lot of things have to be just so and perfection. One thing out of place, they don't know. So one cannot move to the next stage before everything is perfect and whole. Cure everything, then we can make the next move, which never happens. Yeah. So this rigid religious affectation is typical of the fifth point. The situation is related to something sacred. If one does not hold the nature of wholeness and perfection, if we can't face the light, one can't make the task. Consequently, it took a long time to see anything in this proving. So we are talking about what use is all this. All these symptoms came up, but where will this remedy be used? The journey is long. To order to pass on next level, a quantum leap is required. So we need to call Dr. Divya and ask for a quantum leap. The remedy will enable sites of passage. Okay? That means it will make it easier for you to move from one to the other. There's something sacred in this remedy. It is going to be helpful in entering and living in this world which isn't pure. Living in a profane world. The world is not good, but you have to live on it. Right? Therefore, the timing of the remedy is from Friday to Saturday. Sacredness is an issue. The remedy is holding up and slowing down. It is not beneficial to get closer or touch the sacred place before one is. For that reason, there are thorns, slowness, closure, blurriness. So one can't understand what is going on. The one who gets too close to the holy ark before you're ready gets burned. The words blurred and obscured are of it. Related to the root of the nose, toes, anywhere which is in connection with that other thing. Nose, toes, breath, exit point of the soul. Through the nose to the sense of smell, not sight. Accordingly, the remedy is related to the moon as a reflection of the light, to the reflected light, to Neptune, which causes the blurriness in astrological terms. So, little bit philosophical, this remedy. Not fully clear. There's no understanding yet, no full awareness. Maybe these are people of the senses rather than the mind. Mind is not yet built. They would say, I felt it. I did not want to go near there, or something doesn't smell right. Means they are not clear of what is happening. So I brought up this remedy only so that where the beginning is and what is a little bit of philosophy of this thing. Sharp pains are there, sensation of sudden sharp stitches, but not a very clear any picture is there like the other two remedies. Blocked, congested blood vessel, blueness that we've seen everywhere. Painful lymph node in the right armpit. The pain is ticking. What does it want from me? Means it's come to take me away. That kind of feeling. So that's all about this remedy. And we are leaving you with not this remedy. It's just like a kind of journey. Okay. And we are leaving you with Lathyrus and Copaiva, which were great, great study, I think. And both of them, which we can use easily. And we will use them. So, yeah. So next time we'll continue with Sabes and do 4-5 more remedies. And then we will see how many we'll do because we've already done 2 and 5, 7, 10 of the 45 remedies in the Fabulous group. So we should take some important one. Acacia, not something really we can use so far. I can't see anything, but I wanted to show you how the journey and how people do think of a flower and then potentize it and see what comes up. Yeah, but so many of the teams fitted, but we don't know where really it will be very nice. But thank you so much. Thank you also, Vishali, for sharing this wonderful case. We will keep Copaiva with us. And Lathyrus, all of us must promise to look around and see beggars and see low-class people. If any, we see many beggars sometime like that. See if we can help them in any way. But explore and see if we can find some results.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Dr. Vishali. Lovely class. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so
everybody.
much, ma'am.
Thanks, Yatri.
Thank you.
Try to see if you can cover up the earlier sessions, one slowly. Yeah?
Yes, definitely. Thank you.
I did a little revision so that you all be
Yes.
in the
Actually, your revision was fantastic. Fabulous. Wow. We read more and more of these revisions in subclass 5. It's so confusing.
yeah.
Unlike the other classes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Dr. Vishal.
Thank you. Okay, bye everybody. Bye. See you next Thursday. And hope you all will join for this Saturday's class webinar in JH. Yeah.